Let's talk about investing. Now, are you saving for retirement or just treading water? Are you depending on stocks or mutual funds? When diversifying what you really need to boost your funds, did you know it's easy to move out of an old 401k into precious metals like gold? And that's predicted to go up to about $2,500 an ounce soon. This could be the answer for you, so call the team at Noble Gold. Do it this month, and they'll gift you a free 22-karat American Eagle coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Let's talk about being prepared. Aren't you ready for life to get back to normal? I know I am, but there's one thing none of us can afford to ignore. Another crisis can happen at any time without warning. But this time you can have peace of mind knowing you're prepared in advance for whatever happens. So ask yourself, do you have enough food, water, emergency supplies to get through the next time? If not, you need to check out My Patriot Supply. They're America's leading preparedness company, and they'll help you become happily self-reliant. Their mission is your survival. Their food is delicious too and stays fresh up to 25 years, so it'll be there when you need it. You won't have to worry if something bad happens. You'll be well prepared. Order today and your food will be delivered in 2 to 3 days. Go to preparewithx22.com right now and do what you know you need to do. That's preparewithx22.com. Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2489, and today's date is May 27th, 2021, and the title of the episode is We Have Everything They Know We Do. What storm? You'll find out. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, Trump and the Patriots, they are leading the private Western Central Bank down the path they want them to go. Remember, the central bank right now, since 2008, 2009, they've been taking on more and more power. And now with the Great Reset, climate change, the central bank is going way outside of its mandate. And people, businesses, other financial institutions, they're taking notice. This is going to cause a crisis in the private Western Central Bank system. Now, do you think the Patriots want a crisis with the Federal Reserve? Of course they do. They want the Federal Reserve front and center. Think about what Trump and the Patriots have done right now. The deep state, the private Western Central Bank, they were planning on a great reset. They were going to use the pandemic. Trump countered it with the vaccine. You might like it, you might not like it. I don't believe you need it because there are cures, and the fatality rate and you actually getting it is very, very low. And if you look at the percentages and what has been going on, you can tell that this whole thing was made up of statistical numbers and fear. But think about what has been happening and look at the big picture here. Trump and the Patriots, they wanted the private Western Central Bank, the deep state players, to believe that they were in control, that they had the control and they were moving the country into the Great Reset. And what did the private Western Central Bank do? Are they just looking at inflation? Are they just looking at how many people that have jobs? Or are they expanding? Are they taking on the role of social justice warrior, climate change, racism, you name it? See, now they're going way outside their mandate. There's a crisis coming, but the crisis is going to be with the private Western Central Bank. I do believe Trump, the Patriots, have put the private Western Central Bank front and center, just like they put Fauci front and center. Now, everyone thought that there was no way that Fauci was going to fall, just like Cuomo, Whitmer, Murphy, Wolf. But in the end, it takes about 2 seconds for these people and the Federal Reserve to come tumbling down. All people have to see is what they're really about. Now, of course, what you need to do is you need to get and expose all of this to the people. And I do believe this is the beginning stages. We'll be talking about this in a little bit later in this report. But first, let's talk about what Biden is doing right now. He's unveiling a $6 trillion budget that will raise federal spending to the highest post since World War II. Now, why is he doing this? Well, because they have no other choice. They need to continue to spend, which means they need to borrow from the private Western Central Bank. This will bring down the entire economic system. This is not going to help the economy. Actually, this is going to destroy the economy. And I do believe this is what Trump and the Patriots want. Do they want to hurt the people? No. I do believe they've made preparations so people can move into a new system with ease. And I do believe this is where cryptocurrencies come into play. Yes, there's gold and silver. They're a great store of wealth. Yes, do I believe you need gold and silver? Yes. Anything the central bank, the private Western Central Bank says, when they talk about gold and silver and saying that you don't need it, it's a barbarous relic, why do they hold gold? What's the purpose then? If they believe in their fiat currency, why do they need it? Then look at cryptocurrency. When they say criminals are using it, who do you think they're talking about? Do you think they're talking about the criminals out there, or do you think they're talking about the Neanderthals, the deplorables? No, they're talking about we the people. That's what they're talking about when they say that criminals use it. Yes, you might think, oh, it's someone on the dark web using it and they're holding certain things for ransom, but that's a very, very small percentage. They're actually talking about we the people. And everything the private Western Central Bank does when they try to force you away from something, it's always the opposite. Now, this entire economic system is really heating up right now. If you look at home sales, yes, it's great when your house appreciates. People feel good. They feel like, oh, my investment's paying off. They feel comfortable, they go out and spend. What happens when houses continue to appreciate and all of a sudden people can't purchase them anymore? The reach of these people who wanted a house, they can't reach that anymore because they're appreciating way too fast, especially with lumber prices. That hurts the economy, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Existing and new home sales, well, they both have taken an unexpected tumble in April. Even though the home builders' sentiment is moving up, the home builders are still having problems because of the lumber costs. And people who wanted to purchase a home because there were low interest rates, they're finding it a lot more difficult because the price of the home is skyrocketing. And people are having a very difficult time purchasing a home. So in the Northeast, homes declined by 12.9%, Midwest 3.5%, South fell about 6.1%, and the West decreased by 2.6%. Now think about what has been happening since Biden became president. Lumber costs are skyrocketing. Corn, wheat, coal, oil, you can see it all. Everything is moving up, and this affects food and other products, manufacturing, you name it. And this is why when people were asked the question, how do you see the economy going? Well, in the next 6 months, people, they don't have a good outlook. Actually, out in California, and we know we should be watching California, 53% of Californians say the state is in a recession and there's rising inflation. People are not just seeing this in one state, they're seeing it in many states, especially in those states that have been locked down. And people are starting to take notice. People know what's going on. They realize it. They know who to look at and who to blame. Now, like we said in the beginning, the private Western Central Bank, they are taking on more and more power. And actually, this is coming out of CNBC. Over the past year, the central bank has taken on climate control and many other aspects of the economy, politics, you name it. Now, there are certain business heads, certain banks that are now questioning this, because what's happening here is the Fed is extending their responsibilities, and people are calling this into question because this is not their job. Remember, they have a document with Congress that says they will control inflation, which means they will not create a lot of currency where we would see inflation, which really means the devaluation of the dollar. The other thing they said was, will keep the country fully employed. Now, when they're starting to stretch their grasp, people are going to call them into question. And that's what exactly is happening right now. People are looking at this and they're saying, well, wait a minute. They're going far beyond their reach. This is not something that we like. Now, is this going to cause a crisis down the road? Now, yes, it will. Think about it for a second. The central bankers, the top level, they're trying to bring us into a great reset, climate change. And they're going to push their agenda as hard as they possibly can until they get there. And what are people going to see? People are going to see private Western central bank systems in all the different countries extend their reach. And now people are going to call into question what they're doing, which means there's going to be a crisis, because when the entire economic system starts to implode, people are going to be pointing the finger at the private Western central bank. This is going to cause a crisis. What can you do with a crisis? With a crisis, you can go to Congress, and especially when you're removing the swamp, which is happening right now, and you can say, you know something, we need an audit. We need to see what they're doing here, because they're way outside their mandate. Just like they're questioning Fauci right now, just like they're questioning Cuomo, Whitmer, Murphy, Newsom. The same thing with the private Western central bank. Congress is going to start to question them. They might even take a vote on auditing the Fed. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And when that happens, that's when the crisis really starts, because people are going to see what they've been doing this entire time. And yes, just like with the election fraud, they're going to do what? A forensic audit of the private Western central bank. They're going to show the people. Sometimes you have to show the people the truth so they understand what's really happening. So this never happens again. Now, Trump, he put out a statement, and this is what it says. I'm going to read it here, and in the next report, I'm going to read it again, but I'm going to hook it to a post. But let me just read his statement right now. This is May 27th, 10:48 a.m. It says, with Memorial Day weekend coming up, tomorrow people start driving in the biggest automobile days of the year. I'm sorry to say the gasoline prices that you'll be confronted with are far higher than they were just a short number of months ago, where we had gasoline under $2 a gallon. Remember, as you're watching the meter tick up and your dollars pile up, how great of a job Donald Trump did as president. Soon Russia and Middle East will be making a fortune on oil, and you'll be saying how good it was to have me as your president. Wasn't it great to be energy independent? But we are energy independent no more. Shame, shame, shame. Other than that, have a great Memorial Day weekend. Letting everyone know that what the Biden administration, which is really the puppet masters who are telling them what to do, they are destroying the economic system. Now think about what Trump has done over the last 4 years. He set everything in motion. Yes, this is all part of the plan. Where is Biden right now? Where is Obama? Where are all the players? They're exactly where he wants them. The spotlight is on all of them. Is the spotlight also on the private Western central bank? Yes, because they're taking on more and more responsibility. And as they take on more and more responsibility and go outside their mandate, yes, all eyes will be on the private Western central bank. In the end, what are we going to have? We're going to have a private Western central bank crisis. It's almost like going back to the 70s when we had a crisis with speculators in the gold market. And they made the case of why we needed to come off of the gold standard and move to the petrodollar system. Now we're going to have a crisis of the private Western central bank, of the Great Reset, of the climate change agenda. And with that crisis, you can push legislation. Because as the economy implodes, as people watch everything that's happening, they're going to demand something to be done. And yes, I do believe the Patriots, they've already put safeguards into place. I do believe they have the alternative economy set up and ready to go. I do believe this will be without the private Western central bank. I do believe that they have the mechanisms to move people's fiat currency, and a lot of people are going to be doing this on their own, into a new system, and it will protect their wealth. Because as the fiat system devalues and implodes, gold, silver, cryptos, they will go sky high and protect your wealth. And yes, the private Western central bankers, they will fight tooth and nail to stop this. They don't want people to understand, and this is the biggest threat, that there are alternatives. There are other currencies that you can go into. Do you really think they can ban crypto or physical gold? Well, they can try, but crypto is much, much more difficult to do. Do you really think they can stop you from transacting? No. Think about it. If the entire country decided, let's move away from the private Western central bank fiat system, what can they do? Nothing. Their entire system would implode in a matter of seconds. But the people, they would have kept their wealth, they'd be able to transact, and they'd be able to go about their business. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of people becoming aware of this. And once people are aware of this, nothing will be able to stop this. Nothing. Let's talk about being prepared. Aren't you ready for life to get back to normal? I know I am, but there's one thing none of us can afford to ignore. Another crisis can happen at any time without warning. But this time you can have peace of mind knowing you're prepared in advance for whatever happens. So ask yourself, do you have enough food, water, emergency supplies to get through the next time? If not, you need to check out My Patriot Supply. They're America's leading preparedness company, and they'll help you become happily self-reliant. Their mission is your survival. Their food is delicious too and stays fresh up to 25 years, so it'll be there when you need it. You won't have to worry if something bad happens. You'll be well prepared. Order today and your food will be delivered in 2 to 3 days. Go to preparewithx22.com right now and do what you know you need to do. That's preparewithx22.com. Let's talk about investing. Now, are you saving for retirement or just treading water? Are you depending on stocks or mutual funds? When diversifying what you really need to boost your funds, did you know it's easy to move out of an old 401k into precious metals like gold? And that's predicted to go up to about $2,500 an ounce soon. This could be the answer for you, so call the team at Noble Gold. Do it this month and they'll gift you a free 22-karat American Eagle coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, the deep state, the private Western central bank, the corrupt politicians, the Patriots have backed them into a corner. And if you don't think this is part of the plan, you need to step back and take a look at what's really happening here. Trump right now has more leverage than he's ever had before. Remember, when he was in his presidency, he knows everything that these people have done. And this is not just normal warfare. This is irregular warfare. So you're not just going to come out and just go directly at them. You're going to use irregular tactics to get them. If you think of a sting operation, you understand that you just don't go directly at the people. You have undercover people inside of an organization. You have them give you information. You use that information against them. And once the crime is committed, you move in. And what we're seeing right now is exactly that. The difference is that it's not just up to an individual, the military. The people have to wake up and understand what's happening. Because without seeing it, they will never believe it. If you don't see election fraud and you just hear about it and people just talk about it, you don't believe it. You don't demand change. You don't say, we can never let this happen again. Those people who cheated, those people who committed treason, those people must go to prison. People would never do that. Remember, the fake news, the big tech companies, the corrupt politicians, their whole entire push is trying to convince you that election fraud never happened. Aren't these the same people that told us that the virus didn't originate from the Wuhan laboratory? Remember, they suspended accounts. Remember, they censored people for saying this. They said it was conspiracy theory. It was all fake. This is ridiculous. What Trump is talking about, it's not real. And they convinced us over and over and over that This occurred naturally. And now we have Fauci being questioned about it. Now we have the fact checkers saying, well, maybe it might have come from the laboratory. Remember, when you report on facts, you don't go back on the facts because the facts are the facts. It's the truth. The only reason you reverse course is because it's propaganda. What do you think is going to happen with election fraud? Remember, it's the same exact people telling everyone there's no such thing as election fraud. It doesn't exist. There was no cheating. Biden won fair and square. We know what's going to happen. And the people that actually believe that there was no election fraud, they are going to see it firsthand. This is the only way you can do it. You must show the people the truth. Without the people actually physically experiencing the truth, they will never believe. They just won't believe you when you just tell them. Just like if you have a child and you say, listen, you see that right there? That's fire. That's hot and it will burn you. Well, if the child never experienced it before, they might believe you. They might say, okay, I won't touch that. Well, what do they end up doing? They go closer to it. They have to experience it. And once they experience the heat, the burning sensation, do they do it again? No. But just telling people, or a child, it doesn't work. Remember, people need to experience what is really happening because the truth is very, very difficult to accept. Propaganda is easy. It's shiny. It looks great. It sounds great. But telling people there's an organization, there's a group of people, they infiltrated the country from within with help of foreign governments, and they're trying to bring us to a place where most of the people don't want to go. I'd say the majority of the people don't want to go. And they cheated, committed treason, crimes against humanity, and this was a coordinated effort. Now, telling people that, they wouldn't believe. Most people, if you just tell them that, they'll say that's crazy talk. Actually, go back to 2017. If you go back to 2017 and you tell people there's going to be this pandemic, you're going to be wearing a mask. Actually, the businesses of the world are going to be shut down. And in the middle of this pandemic, you're never going to believe this. There's going to be riots. Yeah, and they're going to burn down buildings. They're going to kill people. And they're going to loot. And you know what else is going to happen? The governors and mayors, they're going to allow this. Yeah, during the pandemic, where you have to wear a mask and you're not allowed to go outside. You're not allowed to touch anything. You're not allowed to go to parks. If you told people this back in 2017, it would be crazy talk, conspiracy. But today, everyone's experienced it. It's no longer crazy. It's no longer a conspiracy. It's real. Just like with Wuhan. Now people are researching it. Now people are saying, well, wait a minute. If it didn't occur naturally and it came from the laboratory, who's responsible for this? Now he's on the hot seat. Remember, he canceled the investigation because they thought they had the narrative. They don't. Remember, Trump right now, he has more power than he ever had before. Why? Because he has the ability to use everything that he knows and force it out into the open. And the deep state, the corrupt individuals, they have to defend it every single time. And it becomes very, very tiring after a while because Trump has the ability just to continually throw these things at you. And what do they have to do? They have to defend it every single time. And when they can't defend it anymore, what happens? Well, the truth starts to come out. Yes, they spin it. They try to spin it again. But look what happens. We're seeing it with Whitmer, Cuomo, Murphy, Newsom, now Fauci. You think the election fraud is not going to come out into the open? Of course it is. People might not believe it right now, but very soon they're going to experience it. They're going to witness it. They're going to see it firsthand how it was done. And all that talk of election fraud is fake will just completely disappear. Just like it's disappearing with Wuhan. Trump is right from the very beginning. And think about this. If you were going to take down the corrupt individuals, where would you want them? All in one place. See, when Trump said, this is the calm before the storm, and the storm is coming, and when the reporter said, well, what is the storm? He said, you'll find out. What do you think the storm is? The storm is everything the deep state has done, turned on them. The storm is we the people becoming aware of everything they have done, even the people that are still sleeping. Why? Why have the people become aware of all of this? Have woken up? Because they're experiencing it. They've seen it firsthand. They know how it's done. It's almost like when Project Veritas had this whistleblower talk about how Facebook blocks certain things about vaccines. Yes, you heard about it before. But now you have the documentation. You have someone out there saying, yes, it does exist. Yes, they have teams to do this. Yes, they have algorithms to do this. See, now you know it's the truth. Now you've experienced it. The storm is going to be treason, sedition, crimes against humanity. It's not going to be hearsay. It's going to be facts. And the people are going to demand justice. We'll be talking about more of this a little bit later in this report. But as we know, we have Durham in the background. He's investigating Spygate and everything else. We also have the investigation going on with Hunter Biden and his laptop. Have there been any leaks? No. Because this is how you run a real investigation. If the deep state knew about what was really going on, they would have been leaking it out like crazy, trying to get ahead of the story. But they know nothing. And it's amazing how, especially in D.C., how they have the ability to keep information contained compared to the deep state, where they love to leak out information. You know why? Because it's all propaganda. But what's very interesting is we notice that certain things are being dripped out now. And there's an audio recording of Hunter Biden talking to a friend about smoking crack cocaine with a famous mayor of D.C. And where did this audio recording come from? His laptop. So in this recording it says, and this is coming from Hunter Biden, it says, you know what? I actually smoked crack with Marion Barry. I swear to effing God. Unidentified man said Jesus. So where did this recording come from? It came from naval veteran Jack Maxey, a former co-host of Steve Bannon's War Room, who has a copy of the hard drive that has been confirmed as once belonging to Hunter Biden. And he released this. It's amazing how this information is being brought out into the open. And yesterday we mentioned how Papadopoulos told everyone that the Italian who introduced him to Joseph Mifsud was indicted in Italy. I do believe that this is just the beginning of all of it. Remember, Durham and Barr, they were out in Italy. I wonder why that indictment happened right now. See, everything is being set up for a specific time and place. And it is coming. Now, what's very interesting is that the UK, the Daily Mail, they put out a story that Biden's laptop scandal as Russian disinformation is completely fake. And the Daily Mail said that the forensic experts, they've already proven the Hunter Biden laptop contents weren't faked. It wasn't Russian disinformation. It was real. It's his laptop. Hunter signed the repair slip at the shop where he dropped it off. And the investigations are continuing. Do you think this information is going to come out when the time is absolutely right? Yes, this is part of the storm. And you can see the storm is now brewing. Now, yesterday we mentioned how Ted Cruz was questioning Chipman for the position of the ATF director. He's a nominee. And then all of a sudden we had a mass shooting. And we know that this is all part of their playbook. Their agenda is known. They're trying to push gun legislation. And it's very interesting that all the same talking heads, they all come out and they tweet pretty much the same exact thing. And Storm has arrived 17, put it out, collected all the different tweets from all the different people, Biden, Clinton, you name it, Nancy Pelosi, you name it. They're all out there pretty much saying it's time to push gun control. And they did this on purpose. Actually, Newsom was out there saying the same exact thing. This was all done at the same time. But people, they're not going along with this. You see, the deep state right now, they've lost the narrative. The people are aware. They're no longer listening to them. It's almost like when they came out with the story saying, okay, yes, transgender men that become women, they can compete in women's sports. They thought, oh, if we mention this on the fake news and the corrupt politicians say this, and on big tech we put little labels everywhere and we censor people that question it, people will believe it. But actually the opposite is happening. Gallup did a poll. 62% right now believe athletes should play on teams based on biological sex. Let's talk about our health. A new study released by the CDC reports that 49.1% of adults in the U.S. are obese. Typical recommendations for weight loss are to stay physically active, count calories, and cut out carbs. But if these recommendations work, then nobody would be overweight. The issue with these so-called solutions is that they don't get to the heart of the problem. This is why you need to use KetoWithX22.com. It is the quickest way I know to lose some weight. It works in a similar fashion to how the popular keto diet works. It melts fat, tones your muscles, and reduces cravings. So I recommend KetoWithX22.com. Try it today for 51% off by going to KetoWithX22.com. That is KetoWithX22.com, which means the people of this country, they're not following the narrative of the deep state. They're actually doing the opposite. More people have woken up than ever before. They're thinking logically, and they're questioning everything. Now, what's very interesting is that we know that different states, different corrupt leaders, they're trying to push the vaccine on we the people. And if you question the vaccine, especially in Facebook or any other social media platform that is run by the deep state, they censor you. But look what they've done here. They've been pushing the vaccine, and they're trying to convince people by dangling shiny objects. I mean, some of them aren't that great, some of them are. I mean, think about the different states that said, listen, we'll give you $1 million. The mayor of New York said, we'll give you some French fries and a hamburger. In New York, they're saying, listen, if you get vaccinated, we'll give you a full ride scholarship to a public state college. Like I said before, if this vaccine is so incredible and this pandemic is so deadly, people would be running to it. People would just get it without question. But you know what happened? People didn't see people dying. People saw everyone going about their business. Actually, they saw states open up. They saw people remove their masks. They saw states having full employment. And there was not death in the street. Since they have to push this type of marketing scheme that tells you everything you need to know about this vaccine. And why would you need a vaccine? The cure rate is 99.9x depending on your age. There's also therapeutics that cure you. There's over 200 studies with hydroxychloroquine. And remember, the fake news, pharmaceutical companies, governors, they hid that from we the people. Fauci hid it from we the people. Now, what's very interesting is going back in time when we were talking about how this originated from Wuhan, when Trump was saying this, when Pompeo was saying this, and especially those people that were speaking on social media. What did social media do? They either gave people strikes, suspended your account, or got rid of your account because that was fake news. That wasn't the fact. Now, all of a sudden, this is the fact, and it occurred naturally, is turning out to be fake news. So Facebook, they came out and they said they will now allow people to write about the origins of COVID, that it came from Wuhan. What do you mean they'll allow you? So they were controlling the narrative because you told us it was a fact. You told us we have to censor you because you're telling lies. It's misinformation. What does this tell you? Well, let me translate. it was never a fact. Fact checking is about controlling the narrative for the deep state. That's what fact checkers are. Actually, if you notice, do they actually give you facts? Or do they say, well, from the people that we've spoke to or from the organization that we spoke to, this isn't true? How would they know if this virus came from Wuhan or not? Was there an investigation? No. And that's what's happening right now. The fact checkers are to control the narrative. The big tech companies censor you, give you strikes, because they don't want the truth out there. They're trying to control the narrative. And when they can't control it anymore, there's nothing they can do about it. Actually, if you notice, they tried to control where this came from, they lost control, and now people are talking about it. Who's really in control? Is it big tech companies? Because the people that were on these social media platforms, they went to other places. Did they stop talking about it? No, actually, a lot of these people now have more followers than ever before. More people are listening than ever before. Now, what's very interesting with these governors, we can see the people now, they're not agreeing with them. Look at Whitmer in Michigan. Remember how she went to this restaurant, Landshark? She went there and violated her own rules. And yesterday we read off all the different restaurants that were fine, also gyms and everything else, because they didn't follow her rules. Well, all of a sudden, the legislatures, they put together a veto-proof bill, which was already voted on, HB 4501. It was passed by 74 to 34. That's going to reverse all the fines. Think about that for a second. Think about what just happened here. Because she violated her own rules, showing everyone that she's above the rules. So why should all these companies be fined? They shouldn't. So the people said, you know something? We need to reverse this. And now it's coming out that the nursing home scandal in Michigan, they're saying that the numbers, just like with Cuomo, they're going to be much, much higher in the number of people that have passed away because she threw sick people into a nursing home where they had compromised immune systems, and she killed people to get the death count up to show that this pandemic was terrible. This is what these people have done. Now, the only way to get rid of these people is to vote them out. And the only way to vote them out is to have true, secure elections. And the only way to get true, secure elections is to show election fraud, how it was done, how they do it, and get the people to understand that you no longer have a voice. See what's happening here? This is all part of the plan. Now, General Flynn, he has blasted Biden in an effort to cover up origins of COVID. And this is what he said. He was doing an interview, and he said the following: I believe something has happened. My intuition tells me we had over a year of people all over the world having to answer tough questions. The people in this country are demanding answers. I believe what we're going to find out is that this was a weaponized operation by nation of China with some collaboration with other countries. So he already knows what's going on. I don't believe it's just his intuition. Now, Dan Scavino, he put out a tweet, and it shows Fauci, and there's like 2, 4, 5 of them. And this article that Scavino links to is from the Babylon Bee. It's a satire publication. It says, Dr. Fauci gets in heated debate with 17 previous versions of himself. And we know that Fauci flip-flops back and forth. So we come to find out that Dr. Fauci likely broke U.S. regulations and U.S. law when he funded Wuhan Lab to continue the coronavirus projects that were banned in the U.S. in 2014. Fauci is now in the spotlight. People are now pushing to find out what really happened. And yes, we have Biden out there saying, yes, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to find out what really happened. Really? You mean they're going to be completely transparent? I don't think so. We'll have to see what happens, though. But what's very interesting is that the people of this country, they're realizing that under Biden right now, crime is going through the roof. 73% of Americans believe crime is higher under Joe Biden than under Trump. Why? Because we see what's happening in all these different cities. Remember all the defund the police? And remember, a lot of these cities, they released criminals. What did they use the criminals for? Well, a lot of them were part of Antifa. A lot of them were part of BLM. They were just let loose during the pandemic. Do you think they were planning something much, much larger than what we saw? Yes, they were. Are they still out there? Can they still use them? Yes, they can. But remember, in those cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, we see the percentage of crimes, murder rates, and everything else skyrocket. People are seeing this. People understand. And people are questioning what Biden is doing. And we can see in many other cities where they're trying to defund the police, it's just going to get worse and worse in these areas. And the people are going to demand change. Why? Because they're being brought to the precipice of destruction. They have to see it to believe it. Now, with the elections, we see everything's moving forward. Now, the deep state, they're going to try to stop this any way they possibly can, especially out in New Hampshire. We're seeing problems where 2 or 3 of the auditors, they have conflicts with Pelosi and Schumer, and they've dropped out. And the law states that there has to be at least 3 auditors that are required to do the auditing. And this is a direct violation of SB 43. But we'll have to see how this goes. Now, in Georgia, we can see that the corrupt individuals in Fulton County, they're doing exactly what they tried to do in Arizona. They got lawyers together. They're trying to stop the audit, and they don't want it to proceed. The same thing happened in Arizona. If you notice, it's the same thing that happened almost everywhere. Now, if Biden won fair and square, why are they so worried about an audit? They should have nothing to worry about. They would probably want it to show everyone, yes, look, he won fair and square. It's incredible. He did it. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing the opposite. We're seeing the deep state trying to push their agenda to try to stop these audits. Now, Praying Medic, he put this out, and this is an update from Maricopa County. As of Monday, approximately 660,000 ballots have been inspected. More ballot examination tables are being added every week as volunteers are being trained. And the word went out saying that they need volunteers, and thousands of people saying, I will volunteer. Number 3, the ballot examination is on track to be done by the end of June. It's going to be a very, very hot summer. Number 4, the forensic examination of machines is being done concurrently with physical ballot examination. Signatures on envelopes will be spot checked. Several weeks after the audit is finished, a final report will be transmitted to the Senate. The Senate may make the report available to the public. So out in Arizona, we see things moving very, very smoothly. Now, does that mean the deep state is going to sit back and let it happen? No, they're going to try to stop it all. Remember, once one state falls, the others are going to fall. Now, General Flynn, he put this out on Telegram. Why do the left and the Dems fight back so hard to hide the truth? If their man won fair and square, what the hell is there to hide? Absolutely. Why are they trying to hide this? Now, Code Monkey Z, he broke down H.R. 1. This is what the deep state players, the corrupt politicians, want. He said, interesting how H.R. 1 would try to establish federal guidelines for state elections when the Supreme Court has already told the feds to stay out of state elections business. Interesting how H.R. 1 would make legal many of the issues that the auditors are allegedly digging up. Interesting how H.R. 1 would prevent anybody from questioning any future election. Now remember, the same people telling you election audits are dangerous, it's based on the big lie, also told you the exact same thing about Wuhan, that it was naturally occurring. And all you people talking about Wuhan and it leaked out of there, it's just crazy talk. That's conspiracy theory. And we have fact checkers that proved it. Well, those fact checkers seem to be wrong again. So are they really fact checking? No. What they're really doing is they're controlling a narrative. That's all they're doing. And with this entire election audit that's going on right now, not just in one state, in multiple states, the people must understand. People must understand so this never happens again. That's what this is all about. It's about showing the people. And as you're showing the people, how you're explaining to them how it was done, how they did it, what do? You expose the deep state. You drip information out. And the other beautiful thing about this is you have all of these people in one place, in D.C. They're all thinking they're in control. They're pushing the agenda of the puppet masters. And when it comes time for everything to be brought out into the open, all you have to do is move the spotlight to D.C. Now everyone's looking at them. Let's talk about our health. Collagen product sales are spiking, and for good reason. Collagen is revered for giving skin its strength, elasticity, along with its power to reduce wrinkles. This isn't just hearsay. There's thousands of studies to back up these claims. However, typical collagen supplements you'll find on the store shelves usually don't work because they're filled with cheap or low-quality collagen and sometimes harmful ingredients, which leaves users unsatisfied when they don't see results. This is why you need to use multi-collagen. This collagen is a solution for aging that America is going crazy for. It's the best anti-aging solution on the market with the highest quality collagen blends our bodies need to look and feel younger. I recommend healthwithx22.com. Try it for 51% off by going to healthwithx22.com. Let's talk about protecting your wealth. So, you don't get the chance to buy sunken treasure every day, do you? Noble Gold has secured some of the original 20 Liberty coins found in the wreck carried up from the SS Central America on the seabed. The fabled ship of gold sank in 1857 along with 10 tons of California gold rush treasure. Imagine you can have a chunk of this exclusive time capsule from the depths yourself now. Call Noble Gold at 877-646-5347 to reserve your treasure. That's 877-646-5347. Now everyone's going to be saying, okay, you cheated in the election. What else did you do? Because we've come to find out that Fauci funded gain of function. He lied to the American people. He lied about knowing about hydroxychloroquine back to 2005. He knew it was a cure. We had governors banning it. We had the pharmaceutical industry saying, don't even look over there. Think about all these things that are going to happen. This was all put together. This is set up for the storm. And I do believe we're going to see a lot more things happen. Now, Dan Scavino, he put out a tweet. This is May 26, 2021. And it's a gif of a shark jumping. So jumping the shark. So I think we've hit that point where we just jump the shark and everything's going to start to fall apart. Everything that the deep state, the corrupt politicians have done where they thought they're in control, it's all going to start to fall apart. And this is why we see articles like this from CNN, where it says, Judge says Trump's steady drumbeat of the big lie could continue to inspire his supporters to take up arms. What are they doing right now? They're projecting. They're projecting what they're going to do when the truth is put out into the public realm. They're starting to project already, letting you know that certain individuals, like the criminals that are on the streets, Antifa, BLM, they will be taking up arms. Now, Brian Cates put this out, and this has to do with the storm. It says, what kind of storm would it be if Durham drops the hammer concurrent with an FBI investigation going public with numerous Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, bribery, tax evasion, money laundering charges, parallel to it coming out that the China virus came out of the Wuhan lab at the same time the Arizona audit results are announced and there was a massive fraud? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would that measure? Oh, I'm saying this is over a 10 at this point. So I want to go back to 2017 when Trump was there with the military and many other people, and the reporters were questioning him, and he says, this is the calm before the storm. And the reporters asked him, what storm, Mr. President? And he said, you'll find out. Take a listen.
You guys know what this represents?
Well,
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
what's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We
the
have the
president?
world's great military people here in this room. I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint on your decision.
Thank you, everybody.
And yes, there's going to be a storm. it's going to hit. Trump is going to play the Trump card. He's shaping the battlefield. He's preparing everything. He has them exactly where he wants them. He has more leverage now than ever before. Now, Mike Pompeo, he put this out. This is May 27, 2021. It says the following. Even today, with so much having changed since the heady days in which they were written, our Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Federalist Papers are invaluable to dealing with the challenges we face as a nation. What is he talking about? Well, what are the challenges that are coming up right now? Election fraud, treason, sedition, crimes against humanity. These are the documents that are going to allow us to make sense of all of this and to have justice. Pompeo and Trump, they said it before, the Constitution is the only way forward. Following the Constitution, we can definitely bring justice, and that is what we're going to see. Now, what's very interesting is that Pompeo put this out on May 27, 2021, and if we go back 1 year to May 27, 2020, this is the post. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men and women, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate the government long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. And that's what we see happening right now. We're done with the deep state. We're done with the corrupt politicians. The Constitution will lead the way. Now, Trump, he put this out. This is May 25th, 2021. It's a statement. It's put out on 6:10 p.m. And it says, "Thank you to the Washington Examiner newspaper for covering the forensic audits for the 2020 presidential election, the most corrupt election in the history of our country. Read and study it carefully. It's not fake news." Now, what's very interesting is he put this out at 6:10. If you go to post 6:10, it says, "Read slowly and carefully. Will become critically important in coming weeks. Continue to track those who are resigning across all platforms. Where there was once darkness, there will now be light." And we see certain individuals resigning. Now, Trump also put out another statement, which we read in the economic report, and this is May 27th. He put this out at 10:48 a.m. And it says, "With Memorial Day weekend coming up, tomorrow people start driving in the biggest automobile days of the year. I'm sorry to say the gasoline prices that you'll be confronted with are far higher than they were just a short number of months ago, where we had gasoline under $2 a gallon. Remember, as you're watching the meter tick up and your dollars pile up, how great of a job Donald Trump did as president. Soon Russia and the Middle East will be making a fortune on oil, and you'll be saying how good it was to have me as your president. Wasn't it great to be energy independent? But we are energy independent no more. Shame, shame, shame. Other than that, have a great Memorial Day weekend." Now, he put this out at 10:48, and I do believe this is a message to we the people. This is April 6, 2018, and it says the following: "We have everything. They know we do. Risk." They know that Trump, the Patriots, they have everything on them. When Trump says they caught them all, they have all the information, they have all the data, they do. The people must push this. The people must see this and then demand justice. Yes, Trump will back this up. But remember, we the people must remove the government that is not working in the best interest of the people. We must remove the government that is corrupt. This is why the people must see this. They must understand it all, so this never happens again. Because if you didn't show the people, they just go about their business. They wouldn't care. But when people see this, and this leads into other things like treason, sedition, crimes against humanity, people start to take notice. People start to talk to each other. Think about what Trump has done already. He knows that this is going to be brought out into the open. But to have a fair, transparent election, could we continue with the pandemic the way it was? See, Trump knew if he just went ahead and showed the proof or stopped them from winning, they would never stop the pandemic. No matter what he did, they would never, ever stop it. He knew that he needed to step away out of the light. He needed Biden in that position. He needed to counter the entire pandemic with a vaccine. This way, Biden had no choice, and the deep state players had no choice but to follow through and get rid of the pandemic. Why did he need the pandemic gone? Because he knew when election fraud was brought out into the open, they wouldn't be able to use the same exact excuses as they did before. Because once election fraud is brought out into the open, people understand it, they're going to demand a new election. And I do believe the military is going to step in. The military is going to take control until there's a new civilian government. Remember when Pelosi and all them said they were going to drag Trump out of the White House? Well, they were projecting. Actually, I do believe Biden is going to be dragged out of the White House. And when this election happens, I don't think we're going to be using Dominion machines. I don't think we'll be using mail-in ballots. I think we'll be using paper. And people will not be standing 6, 12 feet back. Everyone will be standing next to each other. Why can they do that? Because the pandemic is gone. Think about all this. Step back and take a look at the big picture. With the pandemic gone, you can have everyone viewing the entire election. It will not go on for a couple of days. It will happen in one day, Election Day. And once that happens and people see the results, the people are going to be shocked on how Trump won the election in a landslide. Actually, I think the people that voted for Biden are having buyer remorse, and people are going to switch their votes. This landslide is going to be something that we've never seen before. Do you think he allowed Biden to become president so more people saw what the deep state's agenda really was? Absolutely. This whole thing is going to boomerang on them. And like Q said, these people won't be able to walk down the street again when everything's said and done. The Patriots are in total control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.